All right. Welcome everyone to the January 2025 Nurse Users Group meeting, the first NUG meeting of 2025. We hope you all had a wonderful holiday break and Happy New Year. So we will get started today. Again, if you're new to the meetings, my name is Charles Lively. I'm a science engagement engineer here at NERSC. And I also have my counterpart as well, Lippy Gupta. Lippy, did you want to say anything?
Hello, Happy New Year.
All right. Happy New Year, everyone. And again, our primary focus here at NERSC is making sure that we're providing engaging meetings and a sense of community for all of our users. So please feel free to reach out to either Lippy or myself if you have any questions or any ideas or any thoughts on trainings or future community calls that would help us make the nurse user experience more engaging. So for today's pipeline, we're going to go over a couple of different announcements, trainings, as well as a few outage announcements as well. Then our topic of the day is going to be multi-focused on allocation year transition policies, updated use policies, as well as PI tips and guidance too. And we'll finish off by wrapping up 2024 by announcing our 2024 Nurse Early Career Award winners. So please stick around for the end of the meeting for those announcements as well. Okay, do we have any questions or comments or anything that anyone wanted to contribute?
Charles, I just wanted to tell you there's some reminder on your screen there about something. I don't know.
Okay. Is it gone?
Gone now, yep.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any other announcements? If not, we will move along. So all of these announcements are in our weekly email that I'm sure everyone looks forward to getting every Monday from Rebecca. So a few announcements that we have are applications to attend the International HPC Summer School. Additional information about this is in the weekly email, but if you are a grad or postdoc scholar in an institution in Canada, Europe, Japan, Australia, or the US, you are encouraged to apply for this opportunity. Again, also the DOE Computational Science Graduate Fellowship is open, and that will be due by January 16th, which I believe is next Thursday. Okay. Now, a couple of trainings and meetings that we have announced are a webinar for high performance computing and software sustainability, and it's toward green software development. So this is a free webinar that requires registration, and it's going to be on January the 15th from 10 to 11 a.m. Pacific. We will also be hosting TotalView debugging office hours. That will occur on January the 24th. Office hours will be from 10 to 11 a.m. and you'll want to retrieve that appropriate information from the event webpage. And that can be found in our weekly email. Any other meetings or training announcements that any of our users wanted to share? Okay.
I just wanted to say, Charles, before you go on, that I think that Total View office hours is going to be really cool. So what it is there's engineers from I forget the name of the company that makes Total View, but the Total View company. So there are real engineers who work on Total View and are experts in it and can really help people with learning how to use Total View. And if you have any questions and if there's a bug, then you can tell them about it too and they'll fix it. So just
Awesome.
would recommend that if anybody uses Total View or wants to use Total View.
Awesome. Sounds like a great opportunity. Right. And moving right along, we also have a couple of upcoming events that we are hosting, specifically on February the 12th. NERSC's annual GPU for Science Day is evolving into the HPC Horizons event. And this will be a full day event full of talks on high performance computing, the future of computing and heterogeneity, as well as the importance of how GPUs will play a part for that. So if you are able to, please register for that event and you'll attend. Details about it are in our weekly email, of course. And then also the day after the HPC Horizons event, we'll be hosting our new user training and updated best practices. It'll be virtual on February 13th through the 14th. You can refer to our weekly email for the link to register for that free training. And it's a good opportunity for anyone to come and get refreshed on updated policies and best practices on Perlmutter. Okay. Another thing that we also have coming up at the end of the month is for the week of January 27th, we'll have our system-wide outage, and that will be an outage that is required for power maintenance. It's expected to begin on Monday, the 27th in the afternoon and conclude on January the 31st. Again, all efforts will be made to try to minimize the total downtime, but please be sure to plan your activities accordingly. Anything else to add to that?
Yes, I just wanted to say, we do have more updated information, and I'm going to send out an email to everyone with more updated information today, this afternoon, actually. We were just kind of trying to finalize it. So I just want to say that in addition to doing this power maintenance, which is a large piece of equipment about the size of a school bus, that's called the medium voltage switchgear. So we have to inspect that every 3 years, at least, in order to make sure that it's safe and, NERSC doesn't catch on fire. So we're going to do that. And then we're also going to do a maintenance on the community file system. We're going to do a file system check on that because, well, you'll hear more about it in the email, but we need to do that. And so that is a check that takes a long time. So we're kind of camouflaging it behind this maintenance that we already have to do. So that way we will minimize the impact on users. But anyway, you'll learn more about it later this afternoon when I send out the email.
Awesome. Thank you for that additional information. All right. And so we'll move right along. And so now I will turn it over to Helen He, who will give us a few updates on the allocation year transition and more.
Hi, Happy New Year, everyone. My name is Helen He, and Rebecca and I are going to tell you everything you need to know about allocation year transition. So we have allocation, calendar year, fiscal year, but at NERSC, we have the allocation year concept. It runs through the allocation for your project. First of all, I'm gonna tell you what we will cover. So all about allocations and the whole transition process. The transition happens next Wednesday. And what happens on that day, the start day, and what are the changes we are having at NERSC for the new allocation year. And then we'll go over several checklists. If you are continuing PIs, if you are a new PI, or if you are discontinued PI or users. So the allocation year for the 2025 runs from Wednesday, January 15th to Tuesday, January 13th of next year. Keep in mind that all of your allocation hours for allocation year 2024 do not carry over. So we have a new allocation for the next year. We will have separate CPU and GPU awards. You run on Perlmutter CPUs and run on Perlmutter GPUs. Allocation awards emails have been already out the week of December 16th. So usually what happens at AY transition, the IRIS database needs to be updated with the whole new set of the allocation data, including your projects, the member of your user members, your allocation awards, including computing and storage awards. And then our computational systems need to sync up with this data so that it'll reflect the new allocation And then the jobs queued up on the computational system that do not have the new allocation will be cleaned up. Then we usually have some sort of maintenances, and along with those, there will be programming environment software changes on those systems. And then we also have center-wide policy changes at AY transition. We have an entire page dedicated to the transition. You can find a lot more details there. And I will basically walk you through over the gist of those. So those and transition actually happens shortly before. For example, from November 1st last year, there's no more last year's project requests that you can submit. And also a week before the new year start, there will be no new user account creation or validation. The new user will start from the new allocation year. Then PIs keep there's a deadline tomorrow for you that you have to do some things. You have to select which users will continue if in the project for the next year. And then you also need to go check who has premium QoS access. Then we do, for your convenience, we do help you to inherit last year's allowed list, but you want to double check, you can make some changes. And then how to do this is through the roles tab when you log into Iris. And you have to do it now, not after the new allocation year starts. Then on the day, what we have here is the Iris needs to have a downtime to basically import the new allocation data. And if you happen to be logged in during that time, you have to log out and log in again after Iris is back. Then we have a couple of systems maintenance parameter. The HPSS archive is what most users do. We also have HPSS regent, is our earlier version of backup. But then these three systems will have maintenance from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Scheduled. Then Jupyter service have a shorter maintenance to upgrade the server versions, etc. However, because Jupyter, when you use Jupyter, you're mostly accessing, perimeter logging nodes or compute nodes. So you may experience inaccessible because perimeter is down. Majority of other systems and services will be up, including file systems and DTN and Spin, etc. So the jobs will be deleted include jobs associated with non-continuing projects, jobs having projects continue, but the user is not part of it. So if a PI does not select continue for that user that used before the January 15th, that user's job will be deleted. There will be some overrun jobs those users submitted when their allocation were having negative balance. Those jobs will also be deleted. And jobs held over more than 12 weeks will be deleted as well. So we have decided the charging, you have a free day, entire free day on Wednesday, January 15th. The charging will start at midnight. Basically, you could say the Wednesday midnight, but it's the first seconds of the January 16th Thursday. Or if perimeter maintenance runs longer, then we'll choose when perimeter comes back. So whichever is later is when we will charge start. And I will turn over to Rebecca to talk about the new appropriate use policy.
Awesome. All right. So we have updated the appropriate use policy for allocation year 2025 in order to better reflect the way that you all are using our resources. And so everyone is going to be required to agree to the updated policy. The way this will happen is if you log into Iris, first time you log in the new allocation year, you'll see a pop-up window and you have to agree to the new appropriate use policy, which we also call the AUP for short. And so I encourage you to go ahead and read the new AUP so that you can get an idea of what you're getting yourself into next year. But if you have any questions, you can feel free to send us your questions and we will be happy to answer them. The next slide, please. So I just want to tell you a little bit more about the AUP and why we are doing what we're doing here. So the last time we updated it was in 2019, and that was a long time ago. Feels like approximately a decade ago, but it's really only 5 years ago. So in the intervening years, there are many NERSC use cases that were not covered by the old one and that we need to be able to cover in our appropriate use policy. So I just provided you with a few examples here. So for example, we have somebody who has a portal that shares data with their community, and they invite contributions to upload their own data to this portal. That doesn't, if you read our 2019 AUP, that doesn't fall into the rules there. We also have LHC folks who are using this XRoot D data transfer protocol based on virtual organization memberships. Also doesn't really fall in our rules at this point. We also have stuff, for example, like users of a Beamline who are not NERSC users, but they're users of a Beamline, and they want to run sort of like a canned analysis of their data. And then we also have a lot of people now who are trying to use CI for their code development. And so they might want to run a job on NERSC. And so we need to be able to accommodate for stuff like that. So we had a very long process to develop this new AUP, and we really were centering on these use cases for that, all the things that you all are doing nowadays. This was a cross-NERSC effort involving essentially every group at NERSC, and especially experts on security and experts on the use cases that we know that you all are doing, and policies as well. So next slide, please. So here are kind of what I would say are like the three kind of major changes in the AUP. So first we have more generalized language surrounding our policy and kind of our aspiration for what we're trying to do here, rather than the actual implementation of it. So if you compare the old one and the new one example is we've gone from a section on passwords and usernames, because that's kind of how we thought of things back in 2019, that, you know, people SSH into Perlmutter and they use their password and their username to do that. So we've changed sort of that section to be authentication and authorization, which is much more general and doesn't kind of prescribe how authentication is being implemented. Okay, another thing that we really wanted to do was really kind of outline the role of the PI in assuring the compliance of projects with NERSC policy, because that's important. We need people to understand where their responsibilities lie. And then finally, we have established requirements for workflows that interface externally. So all of those use cases that I described, those examples, those would be examples of these types of workflows. But especially we have a growing number of experimental and observational data facility workflows. And so we need to have some requirements to make sure that those workflows are going to be they're going to be secure, and that that everybody knows what's expected there. So we're going to have an annual review process for these types of workflows to make sure that, again, everything is working as expected and that there aren't any problems. And we're currently working on implementing processes for workflow reviews. I think that's the end of mine. So I can take any question. If anybody has a question, like right now, I can take your question. Otherwise, we can also answer them at the end.
We'll just
Can I
pause
ask
a
a really
second.
quick one?
Yeah, sure.
So when will Iris reflect the new allocations? Because right now it's still last year's.
Yeah, so that's going to be on the 15th.
15th. Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, I'll go on to talk about programming environment changes. So we are making some changes starting at the start of AY 25. What we do is we will retire some software. We will be updating some software. This is to better align our software stack to the user needs. This is as part of our long-term software strategy. So we make those decisions based on, we have a module tracking And we have user tickets, some jobs metrics, and from user and staff feedback. So it's an ongoing process. And also, some software, we are transitioning some software support to containers. We also encourage our users to adopt containers for their application as well to help preserve their application user environment. So there will be 4 slides here and for 4 categories. First of all, the software no longer supported. So for those software you can install on your own. Those include E4S, MUMPS, PATC. We encourage you to install via SPAC. SPAC is a software management tool. And there's a NERSC checkpoint and restart module will be removed, and they'll be supported in upcoming, and it's called DMTCP module. Then 1 year 90, this module will be removed, but there's a functionality. You can use it as part of the QE module, Content Expresso, or you can find the libraries linked in the VASP module. Second categories is modules to be replaced with some other alternative delivery form or being upgraded to a new version. So Ember and GrowMax are now supported as container. Eigen is available without loading a module. And there's a few 3 other modules, Kodi, TextLive, and Climate Utilities. They'll be replacing with a newer module. The older module will still be will be there, especially like for the climate utility. And this one is also special. It's a pending testing. If it passes testing, it'll have a newer version. Then we have installed several new modules. Darshan is an I/O monitoring tool. SPAC and SPAC configure modules helps users to install your own software via SPAC. The next category is we are removing some old versions. Rest assured, we are just retiring older versions. There are still newer versions of these software available on the system, including Berkeley GW, Espresso, Julia, and VASP, SPAC, VASP, and VASP TPC. So you can find all these also on an AY transition webpage as well. And also on the AY transition day, new start day on January 15, next Wednesday, we will have a Jupyter upgrade. Jupyter Lab and Jupyter Hub will have the version upgrade, and we'll also upgrade underlying Jupyter infrastructure software stack and supporting this service. It'll be lasting for 2 hours, but as I mentioned earlier, you may still not have access to Jupyter, especially access to permanent logging or compute nodes for processing your notebook or run jobs in Jupyter. So we have a Jupyter Dev API right now for you to test the new upgrade. So please do so and let us know if you have run into any issues. Please open a user ticket. And last section I'm going to talk about is all the checklist. If you are continuing project PI, this is sort of reiterate things I mentioned earlier. First of all, on the first day, we would like you to go. By tomorrow, you have already select continuing users. You have marked premium user allowance, etc. But then on the day, we would also like you to go in and check if the users are marked as you like. But also, like we did inherit your percentage allowed setting for last year, but the hours are not inherited. The reason because the actual our allocations are may be different from last year. So if you don't select any change, if the hours you didn't select the percentage you didn't mark, put the number down there, by default they get the whole percentage, 100%. So you don't want to do that most likely for most of the users. And if you do set percentage and hours, then percentage will take precedence. So if you want to actually give a user a fixed amount of new hours from the allocation, you need to deselect percentage numbers and then put the absolute hours in areas for those users. That's what we want you to do on the first day. Then after the January 15th, you probably want to add some new users or some users. You can add those users by yourself, by inviting existing users, NERSC users, or by sending them email to invite new users. Or some users, they may submit a form to self-request to be added to your project. Then you will get notifications that you need to approve those users as well. Then you want to have be concerned about if you have some non-continuing users in the project, you would be, need to manage those data with either by, change the ownership or to copy to somewhere, etc. For new PIs, new project PIs, it's very similar. You can add new users to your project. You can add existing users or invite new users, and starting next Wednesday, and approve requests from other users, requests to be added to your project. So if you're new PI, you're probably not familiar with the vetting process. Any users that are not NERSC users yet, they will have to go through a vetting process by DOE. It may take up to a week, but most can be finished sooner than that. Then when a user is vetted, you get an email, then you can go into Iris and approve those users to be added to your project. I already mentioned the hours, allocation percentages and hours allowed. By default, you access all the node hours. And also by default, users do not have access to premium QoS. So if you want some users to be able to run premium jobs that could go through the queues much faster, but charges 2x at the beginning, you could select those users and mark them in Iris. Lastly, for discontinuing projects, we have a 6-day grace period, and to access and copy your data to external locations. The 6 days and 60 days ends on March 14. So you have to copy it over. You have to also shut down any running services such as Spring services and save your data. Similarly to discontinued users. So discontinued users basically they'll be marked as discontinued in Iris. Does not mean you cannot log into. We still give you 60 days to access your data. So you can log into any authorized system you have now, such as Perlmutter, HPSS, DTN, Spring, etc. But you only have data access, meaning you can see them, copy them, but you cannot run Slurm batch jobs. This is also for you to archive your data to an external location. Also make sure to shut down any running services. So we also have a detailed policy for discontinued users at the following link. So I have covered everything you need to know about the AY transition. Please let me and Rebecca know any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Helen or Rebecca?
This page is to refer to the question asked earlier. Iris needs to be updated on January 15th. And then if you are logged in, you log out again, log out and log in again to see the new data on the 15th. If not, I will stop share and give it back to Charles for the session.
All right. Thank you very much for those updates, Helen. Feel free to email or let us know if you do have any questions in regards to any of those changes that were mentioned and discussed. So we will continue back on with the last the last half of our meeting today. And it is an exciting part. Wrapping up 2024, we are going to announce the NERSC Early Career Award winners for 2024. With this, we have 2 categories. So we will start with the High Impact Scientific Achievement Award. And essentially, this award recognizes work that has had or is expected to have an exceptional impact on scientific understanding, engineering design for scientific facilities, and or a broad societal impact. So for this year, we selected two winners for this award. And so our first winner is a graduate student at Iowa State University, Ronald Kowski. And his work, he was nominated by one of his advisors, and his work focuses on shedding new light on the influence of African easterly waves on tropical cyclone genesis and landfall in the Atlantic. And in his work, he made heavy use of Perlmutter to achieve his simulations and development of his results. So he is our first winner of the High Impact Scientific Achievement Award for this year. And our next recipient is for a member of a postdoctoral fellow in NERSC and NESAP called Vinicius Makuni. And Vinicius was nominated by several peers and staff for developing solutions in the application of deep learning in particle, nuclear, and astrophysics, and developing innovative computational workflows. Okay, so those are our two winners for the High Impact Scientific Achievement Award. The next award category that we have is for innovative use of high performance computing. And so in this area, what we focus on is innovative use of NERSC's HPC resources. And we want to see how our users are able to use our resources to create new novel scientific ways, workflows, and new updates in their various domains. So in this category, we have three winners selected. Our first winner is Kyla Davila, and she is a PhD student at UC Berkeley. And she was nominated for groundbreaking contributions to computational materials through the discovery of a new state of matter, double superior unicity using GPU accelerated molecular dynamics simulations at NERSC. So Kyla is our first recipient for the Innovative Use of HPC Award. Our next recipient goes to a data scientist at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, Massimiliano Passini, and he was nominated for his groundbreaking contributions to scientific machine learning through the development of Hydra GNN. And so next up, our final winner of the innovative use of high performance computing goes to Alex Hubble. And Alex is a staff scientist at Berkeley Lab in the Accelerator Technology and Applied Physics Division. And he was nominated for his groundbreaking work in developing computational workflows, including the WarpX particle and cell code, as well as the PyAmrex Python interface. Okay, so those are our 5 NERSC Early Career Award winners for 2024. We will be making a more formal announcement from our communications group as well to congratulate all of these winners, and they will also receive a certificate as well as some additional allocation hours for their hard work and dedication. All right, and with that, we are at the end of our meeting. Do we have any questions, comments, or any general announcements that anyone wanted to share? Okay, all right. If there are no other questions or whatnot, wishing everyone a happy new year and a productive 2025. Until then, we will see you here next time.